Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. This time about the race day event that happened in Showdown Expressway in a public area. The only difference this time is that it was a Hotwheels track rather than the actual C1 map. So, in general chat in the MRT Discord, one of the moderators posted that he was playing one of these. So, a bunch of people immediately tried to join the server, and a small meet started to form on one of the rooftops while we waited for the track to be constructed. And there were a few races that went on. Somebody also died at the start. Overview of the track on races 2 and 3. This is basically an 8-figure track that is bumpy as hell and hadn't gotten any sort of barriers at the start. So you can imagine how 9 people on it went. 3 people died almost immediately, like the escort, a pulsar, and an Evo, which is quite surprising, but it's just a hard track to nail because nobody had practice on it. So I tried chasing the RS200 and you couldn't go too fast or else you were gonna die immediately. There was also a jump at the end of the racetrack which could kill you if it so wanted you to. So the car pick for this one was the Evo 3 for me. I thought it was the best one due to its acceleration, although the handling is so you can imagine again how this all went when a bunch of people tried joining without any experience and there were a lot of KB users. Or a bunch of controller players like myself that couldn't drive. Now, there were about 4 full-blown races that had like 9 people each, but I was only able to be part of the second and third one. There was also a Tire 4 288 racing in the race, which was driven by John Bacon, who managed to win both races. Meanwhile, I had to go AFK in the middle of this one when I was ahead. But at least I didn't die like the people ahead of me. Or maybe I did. Okay, so time at that tournament while I find. So we made a tournament with all the people and there were some basic rules we had to follow. We had to get the most amount of laps in 2 minutes. We had to use Tire 3 pre-2000s rally cars because AWD and a lot of grip. And if you fell off, your run was basically invalid. Now, the slowest person and the one that got the least amount of laps was Blue Borders, only getting 2.5 laps in his rerun. Now the RS200 is a good pick, but because the track didn't have as much barriers yet, he managed to fall off at the end. So let's hope I don't get a copyright strike because of the music in this race. So lap 1 and lap 2 done for him, and here's where the fatal mistake occurred. He went way too fast and hit the edge. Now Chuck was using a keyboard, so he had even more issues than Blue, I think. And because again, the track didn't have as much barriers as the last race, he proceeded to fall off and surf a bit. So that's the first lap done, and into a barrier. and then into the floor. So He later on did a rerun. This time he actually got 3 laps, which was better, although with a few penalties at the end because of the awkward barrier that they were placing there. He still made the jump though, so that was lap 1 done, lap 2 done, and coming on into the last one, spinning again. Awkward moment and a Testarossa on the track that was driven by Tamsoft. And he sets off again, about to finish the 3rd lap and makes the jump. Later on went Strexzy in the Auto Quattro. He only had 1 round and did 3.5 laps, which isn't that bad of a result, but isn't going to get you very far. So that's lap 1 done, and the Quattro has an awful problem. It's suspension. It can take the corners decently, but it cannot land a jump, as we will see. So here comes, does the jump into lap 2, bouncing off again into the barrier. And then again into lap 3, bouncing again and almost into the barriers until he actually hit them and spun out with a little bit of lag. So his lap hadn't counted because he finished midway when the time was up. Then there was Daniel the Legend, who used a Celica. You can imagine how that went when this car has no suspension. He only managed to do 3 2/3 of a lap because of the awful suspension that killed him various times. So into the finish line of lap 1, bouncing off immediately off the front, somehow kept it alive until he didn't and spun out. Into lap 2 done, and he manages to flip over because of the awful suspension that doesn't exist. Again, continuing on, he sets off again and coming onto the last lap here, somehow survives by doing a wheelie and then managed to get himself perched on the track, and he got stuck there forever until he rage quitted. Now there was Bacon, who used the same car as me and did the same strat, just that it didn't work out as well for him. So into this part, does the jump, finishes lap 1, and then misses the entire fucking corner and crashes. Later on, another jump. Somebody opened the door. Okay, so coming up onto the 3rd or last lap here, manages to make it past and almost crashes into a barrier again. He still made it alive though, so that's good. And into his last lap, he manages to make it past. Afterwards there was Mysterious Specialist that used a multicolor PC for some reason. Lap 1 done, he continues on. Then lap 2 done, perfect landing, continues on. Lap 3 done, continues on. Then here comes the crash, which nobody was actually expecting at that point. And then here comes the final lap, and makes it past. Afterwards there was Taran in the Evo seats, who only did 4 laps and 1/3 of them. Lap 1 done, but you couldn't see it because of the lag. Then lap 2 almost done, although probably Taran's lap is the most impressive because he didn't have any barriers at all, or at least there weren't that many because it was the 2nd run done. So onto the 3rd lap, makes it past safely, and then onto the last lap, manages to make it yet again, not before almost crashing though, and the sunrise comes up, and here comes to the finish line. And then it was my turn. I had done a 5-lap run, but I got disqualified and I had to do a rerun because of the timer being fucked up. I only managed to do 4 laps and a half, which is good enough for 1st place. Now I had Chuck as my passenger, and there were a lot more barriers because it was the last race. So I went flat out immediately because I couldn't die as easily anymore. So did the jump multiple times, survived even though the rear started to kick in. Second lap done, another jump, almost died there. Into lap 3, almost done, almost died again. So lap 4, biggest jump and still make it past. So first place is me, second place is Taran, third place is Mysterious, fourth Daniel, 5 Strexzy, 6 Chuck, 7 Blue and 8 Bacon because he had to. So the final race, a 3 people showdown between the GC8, Evo 6 and Evo 3, and I was distracted talking Discord when the race started. So still I'm behind here. Taran manages to spread out somehow in an Evo. Now I'm on the hunt to get Mysterious in the PCA because I had the worst start ever. And again hitting the walls but catching up because of the superior Evo power here. He didn't manage to completely pass me until I ran because of the wall that had an edge. Taran goes past as I fuck up in the worst way possible. And again, having to wait for him to actually go past me and see the insufferable pain until he also dies somehow and is disqualified, but he gets third place anyway. Again, crashing because I don't know how to drive in this track, and Mysterious having a nearly 10-second lead at this point I guess, as he's already in the other straight and I'm still taking this corner. The good thing is, however, I was carrying tons of speed compared to him, so I managed to catch up nearly at the end. So it's still based on a 2-minute timer, so if he can manage to run away from me until it's done, he can easily win the race. If I don't fuck up, that is. Or he doesn't fuck up better. But again, I'm catching up here in the last lap. It's nearly over, but I'm starting to get him here. He messes up because of the bumps and I take over because of sending it into a corner and hitting the battery. So I managed to win somehow after spinning out and not having a good start, and I managed to keep it ahead. So thanks for watching and seeing this Hotwheels special. Bye. Anyway, there is going to be a few more events in the coming weeks, so stay tuned for that I guess.